We always use gloves.
I should use gloves then.
Yeah, let's put some gloves on, because we're dealing with bed bugs today.
How dare you, insect? How dare you interrupt? This is the bathroom. Watch out, we got some bad road.
I love Mark Rober and his videos. The science, the education is awesome. But when it comes to this bed bug video, we need some correction, clarification. Let's just tie up some loose ends. Here we go.
And the professor says 3 to 6 months here, but for my first of 5 super wild bedbug facts, if their environment is relatively cold, they can survive up to 300 days without eating anything.
Yeah, they can survive that long, but only in a lab setting. They're not going to do that out in real life. You can survive, what, a couple days without a cheeseburger, but you ain't going to do it. They're not going to either. They're either going to go dormant and do nothing, or they're more than likely going to go looking for Burger King. You are Burger King. So a lot of these statements in this video are facts, but they're lab facts, not field facts. These are very different results. What works in the lab may not be as effective or have different results in the field, and we see that a lot in pest control.
And they don't carry diseases, right? I should have asked this
They don't.
10 minutes ago. And this is my second super wild bedbug fact. They don't actually carry or transmit any diseases.
Correct, but the icky factor is pretty stinking high.
Half of all people have no reaction to a bedbug bite, whereas the other 50% of the population will have some kind of reaction to their saliva that will look something like this in the morning.
Okay, I'm glad he said looks something like this in the morning, because you cannot identify the bug by the bite. Everybody reacts different. You can react different at different times. And the reason he's not reacting right then is because the bed bug, like a mosquito or any other bug that feeds on your blood, doesn't want you to know it's there, so it numbs you. The reaction you have, usually you don't feel that until after all that stuff wears off later, sometimes the next day, and yeah, sometimes never. A lot of times I'll have mom and dad sleeping in the same bed. She is getting lit up, looks like she's got herpes, she's got so many bites, and dad's got nothing, thinks she's crazy. Reality is he is getting bit, he's just not reacting. If you reacted, if you felt it while they were feeding, when they bit you or inserted their mouth parts, then you would swipe it off and they wouldn't get to eat. So they don't want you to feel it.
Which actually leads to my final super wild bedbug fact, and buckle up, because this one's a doozy. Typically in nature, in order to make a baby of a thing, you have a male, which let's say is represented by this plug, and a female, which let's say is represented by this outlet. And if you plug in the cord, you get an adorable little baby. And just like in pretty much all the rest of nature, female bedbugs totally have an outlet, except male bedbugs prefer to take this approach. The scientific term for this is called traumatic insemination. And just like my wall is now
so number one, they didn't evolve to use this approach. The female actually has a specific spot where the male pokes a hole to access her mesospermolage. Probably didn't say that right. It's weird, but that's how it works. So the normal area on the female is only used for egg laying. It's not used for the in, only for the out.
some bedbugs on us at this point. Even if you can see, you may not see. Like,
yeah, they can.
Which is why he always plays it safe.
Well, actually, I have spare clothing. When I go home, I always wash it.
This shoes are only for bedbug shoes.
What? Nobody told us any of it. We, unfortunately...
So yeah, getting naked on the front porch. That's what we do when we go home after a bed bug job. You strip all the way down. All your clothes go in directly into the wash. You're not pass go, do not collect $200, and we go straight to the shower. And yes, you inspect your shoes heavily. So you've got to be careful with that one.
Time to check the results. So this ultrasonic pest repeller did nothing. If anything, it attracted them. We had
Duh. Anybody could have told you that. There's actually a class action lawsuit. The ultrasonic pest repellers do not work, period. I don't care what anybody tells you or what your experience is. It makes no sense. It doesn't work. They're being sued. It's a scam. Don't waste your money.
them. We had 120 bed bugs with the ultrasonic sensor. Over here for the control, we had 101. Clearly, that does nothing to repel bed bugs. And of course, that confirms our hypothesis, considering bed bugs don't even have ears. Not to mention that apartment we visited had a couple plugged into the wall themselves. So definitely save your money on that one. And the remaining 4 tests all had similar results, so I'll just show the average, which was around 4 bed bugs trapped in the dish that was surrounded by either the dryer sheets, mothballs, baking soda, or essential oils, with around 26 bugs trapped in the control. These results clearly show bed bugs prefer to avoid these 4 items because they all have a really strong scent and bed bugs have a really good sense of smell, but they don't do anything to kill the bed bugs. According to the professor, these act more as an annoyance, but the bed bugs would gladly walk over them if it was between temporarily having to deal with the smell and starving to death.
Did you hear that? It's going to deter them just a little bit. It's going to annoy them more than anything, but it's not going to stop any problem. It's not going to fix any problem. So you're wasting your time and potentially using these products, either hurting yourself or pushing them into new areas and making the whole thing worse.
It was even worse news. The spray, aerosol, and fogger bed bug killers all killed about 12% of the bed bugs after 10 days. And before you go all glass half full and think, well, 12% is better than nothing, our control, which was just water, also had a 12% mortality rate. So it's literally not better than nothing. According to Professor Wong, part of the reason for
Okay, so it's just junk. It's just not going to do the job. And you can blame it on this or that, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is you have to get it directly on the bed bug. And you cannot access all the places where they live. So you're not going to get those same results.
some chemicals that on average were effective in killing about 50% if you sprayed the bed bugs directly. But if they were just hanging out in the area you sprayed later, it's once again the same as water. The problem with this is you'll only ever see a small portion of
the chemical treatment had the exact same results as the control. Don't even bother. These things, you have to get it directly on them. And residual is where the magic is, which means how long it lasts. These things don't last.
to it. There's also one more bit of really good news, and that's bed bugs die at 122 degrees Fahrenheit, like instantly. This is also 100% effective, and there's no way to build immunity to it.
False. It is not 100% effective because that little steamer does not push enough heat outside of the lab to give you the dead bed bugs and results that you want. Okay, so the heat, again, not 100% effective in all situations in the real world. In fact, in their video, they show the treatment that they're doing using Apprehend, which is what we use. The steam is not always the best option. And the steam, if you use it after the Apprehend, can actually ruin it. So I hope they were using it after.
Or hanging up on the hangers. All right, so you were super careful when staying in the hotel on travel, but then you got back and bought that couch on Craigslist for a smoking deal, and now you got bed bugs in your home. In Professor Wong's experience, you don't...
Yeah, don't buy stuff off Craigslist or Facebook, especially furniture. Just don't do it. You're gonna get bed bugs. The inspection he's talking about is pretty good, except putting your luggage on the luggage rack. I probably wouldn't do that because that's where everybody else does. I'd put it in the tub. That way, if there is anything, they're not getting in or out of there.
Hire an exterminator, as long as you know there's 3 steps for defense and 3 for offense. First up for defense, you put your bed in a bag. You can buy these mattress and box spring encasements off Amazon, and once you zip them around your bed, basically seal in any bed bugs currently living inside.
Okay, so here's the problem. Number one, you get those encasements, a lot of times they're just urine protectors or dust mite protectors, and they've slapped a bed bug sticker on it and doubled the price, and you think you've got a bed bug cover. These are also not going to prevent anything. They're only going to help you identify them early because they take all the folds out. The zipper is the important part. And here's the thing, even if you did get a good one and everything is the way it should be, couple days, couple weeks of you getting in and out of bed is going to rub those encasements on the frame, and you're going to rub a hole. Once you have one hole in those encasements, the whole thing is worthless. And since they've been encased in this cover this whole time, they've not been able to eat, they're going to come out with a vengeance and feed on you. Welcome to Burger King.
This around the bed, but it's especially useful in penetrating the cracks and crevices close to the bed, including around and behind power outlets. The key is applying just a light.
Okay. Number one, the DE is not going to fix the problem. It will kill them in a lab setting. You don't live in a lab setting. You live in a bedroom with a bed and cracks everywhere and hair and dirt and all this stuff. It's not going to work, okay? In fact, Rutgers University used to tout how good DE was when it came to bed bugs. They have since walked that back, and Bedbug Central's quit using it or relying on it so heavily because it's just not that effective.
It will actually backfire and not be as effective because they'll just navigate around it. And finally, at number 3, we've got steam. A simple clothes steamer like this will do the job. And I think it's great that with all the years and money spent,
a simple clothes steamer will not do the job. It doesn't get hot enough. It's too wet. It has too much pressure. It will push the bed bugs. I've seen those bed bugs get shot across the room with these things. They're not hot enough. And I've also seen beds with mold in them because they use these steamers and it takes forever for them to dry out. And then imagine doing the steam on a mattress and then encasing it so it has even more trouble drying out. Then you've just got mold growing on your bed. Sounds awesome, doesn't it? By the way, if you're using DE and then vacuuming weekly, you're just removing the DE, the diatomaceous earth. So what's the point? And if you steam weekly, you're ruining any DE that's there because you're getting it wet. It's going to clump up. It turns into rocks. What a waste of time. This protocol makes no common sense. Listen, there will be Karens in the comments. There always are. Whining about how they did this or that, and that's how they got rid of them. Maybe. And it's possible. But it's rare, and most of them are full of it. Because when you actually get to asking the questions of what their situation is, they got rid of them for a little bit, which reality is they just didn't see any. But then they came back. They didn't come back. You never got rid of them to begin with. You just kind of pushed them away for a little bit, and they left you alone, or you thought they left you alone. Every client has tried these exact same things and failed. Every single one. The ratios are pretty bad. So just call a pro. And Mark Rober did a good job. You played with some bed bugs. You got bit by some bed bugs. Kudos. But you got fed some bad information. Until next time. You want to bugs me? Bed bugs. But I like Mark Rober.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Don't. I stand upon my desk to remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way.
Get out of the way.